our usual Friday live stream. Going live a little earlier than normal this week because I'm going to a concert tonight. We are seeing All-American Rechecks, Newfound Glory, the starting line. Get Up Kids at Municipal Auditorium tonight. There will be a vlog coming from that, so stay tuned to the channel for that if you're interested in any of those bands. This video is brought to you by Salad Power. Not really, but they sent me a bunch of stuff, so I figured I'd keep drinking it in the videos and promoing up because they sent it to me, so nice enough. Salad Power. New mic stand. Hopefully this picks me up a little bit better than last week where the audio was not great. Here's to Salad Power. Yummy. So, big week this week. A lot to talk about. Starting it out on kind of a negative note. Connor, hello. Connor in the chat, hello. Weird week. There were so many like bummer stories. We started out tragedy for the Titans family. Caleb Farley, cornerback who, we drafted a couple years back and has had nothing but bad luck since he's come to the team, and even really before he came to the team. Crazy story. He bought like a home for his family in North Carolina. Over the weekend, there was an actual gas leak, I believe is what the suspicion is, exploded, just completely demolished the house, and tragically killed her in the, I can't imagine, like, he's dealt with countless injuries as a Titans player, like, that's the least of what is to be worried about now, but I mean, it's just such a crazy story, so obviously, like, thoughts to him, thoughts to his family, just, like, hopefully, I don't know how you can even deal with a situation like that, but, the Titans fans, everybody's got his back, everybody's supporting him in this time. And then following that up, professional hit really hard recently. Terry, all-time legend of the game, the wrestler's wrestler. I think if you ask, 50 wrestlers who their favorite wrestler of all time is, who the best wrestler of all time is, 48 of them would probably pick Terry Funk. He might not be on all the fans, top tier. He might not be on the Mount Rushmore for most fans, but within the industry, he is the probably most respected, most loved wrestler there was. He passed away this week at 79 years old. He was or retiring, coming out of retirement, going away, coming back. I honestly was on the fence if he was really retired. Not at this point in time. I thought he was coming back. I even tweeted when he passed away. I said, R.I.P. to the legendary Funk. Still think he's got one last coming out of retirement left in him, just kind of as a little tongue-in-cheek thing. But, that was a hard one. He's a legend. If you haven't ever seen Wrestling with Shadows, go back and watch that documentary. An incredible curtain of the professional like that. All-time legend. Go, my friend, the Bearman of Texas, he did a really great tribute episode to Terry Funk. Ringside Chaos is his wrestling podcast. Go find that, listen to that. It's he paid tribute much better than I ever possibly could, so check that out. And then finally, most recently, yesterday I believe it was, we got the news. Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, just, a guy who scratched the surface potential could be, just such a great promo, such a great entertainer in the wrestling industry. Tragically passed away yesterday, 36 years old, reported to be a heart attack, complicated by existing heart issues he had, compounded with he had COVID earlier this year. Just shocking news to hear that yesterday, shocking to see him gone. He'd been out of action for a while. It had been kind of vague and unclear about what it was, but at this time it seems clear now that some serious illness issue. He was on the mend, he was coming back, and then apparently yesterday just sudden heart attack, and he's gone. It's a tragedy. I mean, he was an incredible performer. We'd only seen the tip of the iceberg of what he was capable of. So hate to start the stream out on a bummer, but it feels like I had to pay tribute to those guys, had to acknowledge those things, and, let all the people who are affected by that know that, our thoughts are with them. It's crazy. Most of the time you have. That's why I do this. That's why I do this channel, is I want to have fun. I want to entertain myself. I want to enjoy myself. So, rest in peace to Terry Funk. Microphone not working. about now? Can you hear me now? Anything? Can you hear me? Trying to give it. All right, cool. All right. Well, I was trying to start out with a little bit of a tribute to those we've lost. Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt, the family of Caleb Farley. So don't know how much of that got picked up, how much of it didn't, but three crazy, tragic losses that kind of came into my circle of influence this week. All tragic, all horrible, but life's precious. Take advantage of all the moments you get. Pay tribute to those who love you. Enjoy the moments you have. Once again, hate to start on a somber note, but just felt like you could not talk about those things as we start off today. Terry Funk, legend from my childhood. Yeah, I'm my experience with Terry Funk, he came into me, I believe the first real memories I have of Terry Funk was, ECW, when he was in ECW and he was like the crazy old guy who was going to do anything to win a match. And then Chainsaw Charlie shows up in WWE in the Attitude Era, and I didn't even know that was Terry Funk when he first showed up. And then eventually he just dropped the Chainsaw Charlie thing. I was like, nah, I'm just Terry Funk now, which made a whole lot of sense. Like, why would you mask one of the all-time legends and have them hide who they were? But I'm a big follower of Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer, who has obviously been heavily influenced, heavily connected to Terry Funk. So the stuff he's talked about Terry's career, being learned about Terry and how involved he has been and how influential he's been on the business. It's kind of crazy. It's like I was mentioning earlier, I don't know if the audio picked it up, but he seems to be the wrestler's wrestler, where all the wrestlers will credit him. They will say he's the best of all time. He's the best wrestler of all time. I saw a story this week where on an episode of AEW Dynamite, Excalibur was discussing Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson possibly being the best wrestler of all time, and Eddie Kingston wasn't at the show, but he flipped out and decided he needed to call up Excalibur and be how dare you can't say Bryan Danielson's the best wrestler of all time, Terry Funk's the best wrestler of all time. So he's the wrestler's wrestler. The wrestlers all respect him. He's their guy. He's the best one. They all enjoy. Terrible terrible to lose him. Had a great life. Like I said earlier, I don't know if the audio picked up when the audio came in or not, but he always felt like he was still going to come back. He was famous for his retirements and then coming back. Always felt like he had one more left in him. Yeah. He mentions in the comments Richard Greenberg, no idea about the family connections of Bray Wyatt. It's one of the things that's sort of WWE has been weird about in recent years is they got to rebrand everybody. Everybody has to have a new name, the WWE copyrighted name, whereas they've got so many people that have these family legacies, these, legacies you could build off of, and they don't want to acknowledge it. Randy Orton, Charlotte Flair got their foot in the door with those names. Can you imagine if Charlotte Flair came in and they're like, this is Jessica Jazz or something like that. Call her Flair. She's Flair's daughter. That's going to instantly get her over. But with people like Bray Wyatt, I'm blanking, but there's countless other examples of these people that were the children of famous wrestlers that if you let them, and sometimes those kids don't want it. Sometimes those kids want to do it their way. But Bray Wyatt, his real name, Wyndham Rotunda. He's the son of Mike Rotunda, IRS of WWE fame. His name, Wyndham Rotunda, he's named for Barry Windham, another legend of professional wrestling. His brother, Bo Dallas, also Rotunda, that whole family. There's the Rotunda, Wyndham connections, the family. It's a huge, wrestling family. Did not, capitalize on that. His uncle and grandfather, Blackjack Mulligan, as Richard Greenberg mentions. It's one of the things, in the later stage of Vince McMahon's era where he was just, dead set. Everybody had to have a new name. Everybody had a name that everybody could copyright. I mean, look at Stardust. Cody Rhodes is the biggest star outside of Roman Reigns in WWF right now. And, when Vince McMahon was in charge, he was like, you gotta be Stardust. We gotta put you in makeup and make you look like your brother. We can't acknowledge that you're the son of the American dream. Just, it's a good time to be a WWE fan because we're moving away from that era where we couldn't acknowledge the fact that these people of this generation might have had really cool parents that had a really good history in wrestling. But just a tragedy with that one. That one especially, anytime somebody passes away, it's a tragedy. But Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, 36 years old. Way too soon, way too early. I mean, he was he'd only scratched the surface of what he was going to do. When he returned to WWE last year, felt like it was really going to be like the best of him. We're going to see some really, really, really good stuff coming there. And just, man, I hate that one. That one hit me hard. That's one of those ones. People you don't know. It's weird how like people you don't know personally, how it can affect you when you hear news like that. And it was crazy to hear that one. That one shook me a little bit. But Richard Greenberg mentions, I still can't believe Luke Perry is the son of Jungle Boy, or Jungle Boy is Luke Perry's son. Yeah, it's crazy now. They seem to be steering into that now. Like he's heel now. He's Jungle Boy, or he's Jungle Boy. He's Jack Perry. They're like kind of acknowledging it a little bit more now. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, you know, you wouldn't think like the son of somebody like Luke Perry would get into wrestling, but you know, maybe if he drank more salad power, he would have gotten to wrestling sooner. That Jack Boy Perry. Anyway, like I said, hate to start the stream out on a kind of somber note, but like you can't see those things happen and not acknowledge them. So thoughts and prayers to Caleb Farley and his family, thoughts and prayers to Bray Wyatt's family and Wyndham Rotunda's family, and obviously thoughts and prayers to all the fans and family of Terry Funk. Thought I'd start off like the main part of the stream today talking about the biggest thing that's happened for the channel this week, Messi Week. It has been Lionel Messi Week here on the channel. It's been a crazy week. Last Sunday, released the video for the Leagues Cup final match that happened last Saturday. NSC, Inter Miami, Lionel Messi versus the world, Lionel Messi versus Nashville. They won, obviously, on penalties. Won the cup. Disappointed. Watched them lift the cup in our home stadium there at Geos Park last week. But what happened in the subsequent, next couple days after that was just crazy. The video from that vlog blew up more than any video I've ever had. I think it's currently at like 45,000 views. We've added something like crazy, like 200 plus subscribers just from that video alone, which is like, for the, there's obviously this is a small beans channel compared to like some of the biggest channels on YouTube. But I mean, like for me, that was huge growth in that short period of time. And the funny thing was like there's all kinds of like the Messi fandom that took over my channel that was in the comments, that was subscribing. Everybody's like, the Messi effect is real. The Messi effect is real. There was definitely the Messi effect on that video, because you can see the Messi effect where I had a video release that had 45,000 views in 1 week, and then my salad power video had like 30. So I mean, like that's the Messi effect. But drink salad power. Yeah, Richard says I need a big poster of Messi behind you right now. We're redoing kind of the room right now. You can kind of see it's kind of in flux. I literally just put this up right before we started. Like, I don't know how well this shows up on the stream, but this is the official poster Nashville SC sold at the Leagues Cup final. So it's a little bit of hint of Miami, but it was a Nashville SC home game, so it's got all the Nashville SC players, but it is the Leagues Cup final poster. So yeah, and there was a lot of people that were like in the comments like of those videos earlier this week saying like, you need to talk more about Messi. The more you talk about Messi, the more views you'll get. Make your comment about the U.S. Open Cup semifinal. Watch that match. And I was like, okay, clearly based on the views, I could just put Messi in the description of every video. I could make this just like the daily Messi report video, and I could probably like get a lot more views, maybe more subscribers. But I mean, I kind of explained it in the channel update I did on Monday, where I was like, I'm kind of going to keep doing what I always do. Like, I'm not, as much as I would love to shamelessly, like, just turn into, like, a video channel that's, like, meant to get views and subscriptions and whatever, like, I always wonder how that works. Like, there's some, like, channels that have, like, insane amounts of subscription and views that just, like, repost famous videos. Like, sometimes when I'm bored and I'm, like, looking up, like, old WWE moments, I'm like, how do they get away with posting these stuff? I don't know. But I can never just fully steer it into being, like, a all Messi all the time type of channel. So like I got to keep doing the things I'm doing. Like I do this channel basically for myself, for my own entertainment. So this will not be becoming a all Messi all the time channel. Although I will say Nashville SC plays Inter Miami this coming Wednesday, August the 30th. I don't currently have the scheduled for what I'll do video-wise laid out next week, so I'm thinking we do a watch along Wednesday night. Messi versus Nashville, point 2.0, round 2. Might do a live watch along here on the channel. So, if you're not subscribed to the channel with the bell turned on for notifications already, do so, because we might just do a live little watch along of that Miami game here on the channel Wednesday night. But it's been crazy. I did want to talk a little bit about some of the craziness that came from that. Like, most of the comments, like, this is one thing I haven't had to deal with because we are a smaller channel for the most part, even though we've grown a lot. I haven't had to deal with a whole lot of trolls, a whole lot of, like, hate, a whole lot of, like, the stuff that comes, like, the bigger you are, like, the more you're going to get stuff like that coming through. Most of, like, the stuff I got was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome, thank you for sharing this video, we love Messi, or, oh, what an amazing atmosphere you had at Nashville, this is incredible, we love to see this. Very positive for the most part in the comments and the people in the chat, but there were a few people that were, like, very upset about myself and other Nashville SC fans booing Messi, saying, like, chanting Messi sucks. Or there's one part in the video, if you go back and watch the video from last Saturday, where Messi had been on our side of the field, so I was getting a close-up shot of Messi, but he was not playing on our side of the field most of the game, so he was slowly making his way back to his natural position, and I jokingly said, oh, Messi, you're a coward, you don't want to be on the same side of the field as me. Very clearly a joke, like me, a long past his prime high school right back, acted like Lionel Messi was afraid of me and calling him a coward. Like, very clearly sarcastic, but obviously on YouTube, you're broadcasting stuff to people who don't necessarily speak the same language as you. So I think that got lost in translation to some people. Not many. Most people, I think, got it. But there was a few people who were like, how could you possibly call Messi a coward? How dare you? And I was like, it's sarcasm, my friend. And there was one guy who just was like on me, like, don't use sarcasm against Messi. Like, I knew Messi had a huge following. I knew Messi was a big deal. Like, obviously, you can't not know that if you follow soccer. But I didn't know he had, like, the same kind of fandom that we in America associate with, like, Beyonce and Taylor Swift, where they're just, like, borderline, like, vicious, like, if you don't like our guy, you're the worst. Like, you have to like our guy type of stuff. So, like, there's one guy I was kind of engaging with a little bit in the comment section of that video, because he was, like, honest about booing. He's like, you should not boo Messi. You don't have the right to boo Messi. And it's like, he's an opposing player in my team stadium. I'm supporting my team. That's what I do. And he could not wrap his head around it, and I had to remind myself, he's a fan. He's a Messi fan. It's something I say at a lot of the start of the videos when I'm talking about Nashville SC or talking about the Titans. I'm a fan. I am not some journalist or well-educated media person. I don't look at data. I don't look at analytics. I don't look at any of that stuff. I'm just a fan. I watch the games. I share my opinions. And I had to remind myself, that's this guy. He's a Messi fan. He is just dead set that Messi is the greatest of all time, and there's no reason that anybody should ever boo Messi or give Messi any grief. And I was like, you know what? We'll let this one go. One in the same vein that I kind of am having a hard time letting go is there's a media member, journalist, I don't know exactly what you would call her. I think her name is like Jennifer Chu. She's apparently like on the broadcast team for CBS Sports coverage of soccer. And she tweeted out a thing about, like, I can't believe Nashville SC fans are booing Messi. Like, come on, how are you going to do this? And it seemed somewhat joking, somewhat sarcastic, but then all her subsequent tweets were just like, oh my God, Messi. Oh, Messi has done it again. Oh my God, this guy Messi. And then she gets a selfie with him on the field after the match. And it's just like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, journalists shouldn't be allowed to fraternize with players. They shouldn't be allowed to, like, show their fandom. Because, like, if you get into sports media, you almost definitely grew up a sports fan. Like, I don't know how many people get into sports media that didn't grow up fans. It's fandom. You can't help, once again, you can't help being a fandom. But, like, so I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, the journalists should never get pictures with the players. Oh, the journalists should never fraternize with the players. But for whatever reason, just like, I don't know if it's because it was against my team, it was against Nashville SC, just her whole vibe rubbed me the wrong way of the way she was doing it. Like, I understand Messi is like on a level that not many athletes have ever been on, but can you imagine like an NBA, like an actual like paid by a major network NBA pundit ever like being like, these Detroit Piston fans should not be booing Michael Jordan, or like a paid NFL pundit ever being like, oh, these New York Jets fans should never boo Tom Brady, or even going back to Europe. Would anybody who covered, La Liga have ever, like, as a journalist said, I can't believe the Real Madrid fans are booing Messi, or to even go to a smaller scale, to go like, oh, how are the Real Sociedad fans booing Messi? It would never happen. Like, his own fans booed him at PSG, for crying out loud. Like, I think the thing is, and then a lot of people have said this, but I think there's this thing that's come out of this whole Messi thing where certain sections of the Messi fandom, certain sections of the global fandom think that, MLS may be beneath Messi, that we should just be grateful that he's here at all, that he's gracing us with his presence, and that we should just bow down at the altar of Messi. Now, here's the truth. Based on everything we've seen so far here in MLS, Leagues Cup, whatever you want to say, Messi's still as good as he's ever been. He could definitely be playing in Europe right now. I mean, Barcelona wanted him. There's no doubt about that, but they just have somehow screwed up their finances so bad that they had to let him go originally, and they still couldn't get him back when he wanted to come back. So that tells you all you need to know about Barcelona. But he's definitely a player that's on another level from probably any player that's ever played in MLS. That's no doubt about that. But at the same time, I think people don't understand that MLS fans of teams like Nashville SC, fans of team like Toronto FC, like Richard Greenberg, support their teams through and through. Are we happy to see Messi? Are we happy that the GOAT is here? Yeah, we're really happy that the GOAT is here, but are we still going to support our team through and through? Yes. Yes, we are. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap that up because I feel like I'll get in trouble with Messi fans again if I go too much on a rant about like we're happy he's here, but at the same time we still support our teams. That's the be all end of it. Are we happy Messi's here? Is it great? Was it awesome for me to see Lionel Messi play last week? Yeah, absolutely. It was incredible to see Lionel Messi play in person. But was I still for my team? Absolutely. Hang on, we're gonna do some audio adjustments here. All right, let's see. Let's see if this works now. Hang on. All right. Wouldn't be an Uncle Mad live stream if there were not audio issues. That's how it goes. Every single one of these we do audio issues. There's always something going wrong. But I'm lo-fi. I'm low-tech. I need a producer. I need somebody who actually knows what happens, knows how these things work to come in and like actually teach me how to do this stuff. Because I just kind of do it on a whim there. Working. Awesome. Thanks. Glad to hear it. One day we'll get this completely right. But today's not that day. But at least we're here now. At least we're getting some audio going good here. Heesh. All right, so I just rambled about Messi for a while, so we'll get back into like what the next thing I wanted to talk about was on tonight's live stream. It was crazy. I mean, like I said, having him here, having him in the stadium, that's unreal. Are we still going to support Nashville SC? Absolutely. Are we still going to support, the team through and through? If you want to hear like a really great explanation of this stuff, you want to hear like better explanation than I could ever give of that match, Dax McCarty, he's doing a podcast now called The Journeyman. It's awesome. I listen to his podcast that he did recapping the whole match, his experience getting Messi's jersey, the whole, this thing was incredible. So, like, go look up Dax McCarty, the Journeyman podcast. Listen to that. It's an incredible description of, like, what it was like playing against Messi, what Nashville SC's tactics were for the match, his experience trying to get Messi's jersey post-match. I mean, it's just a really great episode. The other, like, quick recommendation before we move off from Leagues Cup, I wish I knew who the original person that had it was so I could go back and, like, suggest it to him to, like, give them a shout-out. But there's a social media video that's gone around. Everybody's posted it, reposted a million times. That's like a zoom-in highlight on Messi during the build-up to his goal against Nashville SC. And this is probably highlights one of the things that, like, I probably didn't appreciate about Messi before he came to MLS. Like, obviously, his skill. He's an incredible dribbler. He's an incredible striker of the ball. Just incredible footwork. But his reading of the game, his understanding of the game is, like, on another level from anybody I've ever seen. Because, and this video highlights perfect. It's like a 2-minute video before the goal, where Messi just seemingly is kind of wandering around the field, walking around, just standing stationary for long stretches of time, and it looks like nothing's going on. You're kind of like, what's going on here, man? He's just kind of wandering around. Nothing's really happening. And then you see him, like, slowly kind of move, slowly starts to pick up his pace. Then all of a sudden he darts in, takes the ball, gets it. Walker Zimmerman puts in a great tackle. Somehow the ball just sticks to Messi's foot, rips it, scores out of nowhere. It's just brilliant. It's like his reading of the game that he just sat there and was like, I'm watching the game, I'm waiting for my spot, I'm waiting for my spot, I'm waiting for my spot, I'm waiting for my spot. And that's why I think he's going to continue to be good, even though he's, coming into what would normally be a player's twilight years. Is like he seems to have this level of understanding the game, of picking his spots, knowing when to attack, knowing when to go for it. And that's maybe something I didn't appreciate about his game before this match or before this tournament, was just his ability to do that. Because he's done it throughout the tournament, where he's making the third man run into the box, those late runs into the box to poach and find where the open space is and get the goal. It's been incredible. Like, there's no doubting him. He's incredible. I feel like I'm still talking about him somehow. Like, the equalizing goal Wednesday night in the U.S. Open Cup semifinal against Cincinnati, what he was doing up to that point in time, and then he just whips that ball in right to Campana in the back post. It's like unreal. Like, you can't deny it. Like, anybody who thinks like anybody that's talking about MLS, talking about Messi, is denying MLS's talent. It's incredible. They might go from, like, be the worst team in the league to win into treble in, like, a short period of time, and that's how good he is. So I don't want to talk about Messi more. I feel like we can't only talk about Messi so much. Like Richard said, back to MLS season tomorrow night. For the MLS, for most teams, resumed last weekend. Nashville SC and Inter Miami bumped back by a week because they were in the Leagues Cup final. But tomorrow, Nashville SC right back into it. One of our semi-local rivals. We go down the road to Atlanta United. This was a game I would have loved to have gone to, but originally I had some work commitments that were not of a to travel to Atlanta. Now today, because of the heat, we are in a absolute heat storm in Nashville right now. Like, it is brutal. Like, I'm going to a concert tonight, and I barely want to go outside because it's so hot here in Nashville. Some of the stuff I had work commitment-wise tomorrow has now been canceled, but it's too late to rearrange things. And although maybe not, yeah, it's too late. I can't go to Atlanta tomorrow. I'd love to go to Atlanta tomorrow for the game, but it's too late. But Nashville SC plays Atlanta tomorrow. We have a chance to win the Southern Championship belt that's been established between our club and a few others. DC United's in it for some reason. I still haven't ever heard a full explanation of why DC United's involved in the Southern Championship within MLS. That makes no sense to me, but apparently if we get 1 point or 3 points against Atlanta tomorrow, we officially clinch the belt for the second season in a row. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be a very, very tough match for us. Walker Zimmerman, unfortunately, popped up on the injury list today as a questionable with a lower body injury, which usually when somebody pops up late on an injury report, that means they're out. It's rare that somebody gets put on the injury report and doesn't miss a match, so we'll see there. But Lucas McNaughton, Richard Greenberg's guy from Toronto FC, was brilliant throughout the Leagues Cup tournament. Like, a lot of people here in Nashville think he may have nudged himself ahead of Jack Maurer as our second choice center back next to Zimmerman. But if Zimmerman's out, if it's Maurer and McNaughton, I'm pretty comfortable with that group. But it'll be really interesting because we were on a bad skid in MLS coming into Leagues Cup, and then Leagues Cup has kind of rejuvenated the team. can we carry that forward? Can we get on another good streak? It's been a streaky season for Nashville SC. We went 10 unbeaten, lost 6 out of 7, then went to the finals of Leagues Cup. So it's honestly no telling what's going to happen coming into this next match here. Go tomorrow. Richard said in the chat, how long is the drive to Atlanta? It's 4 hours. It's not bad. I could easily do it, but short turnaround. I think it's too much on a short turnaround. But I don't know. Probably not. Because we're going to a concert tonight. So there's a good chance after the concert I might sleep till like 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see. It also just like, I've been traveling so much this summer. There's been so much else going on. I don't know that I have the moolah to be able to pull together a quick trip to Atlanta right now. But it is doable. It is. Got me thinking about it. But I think I'll probably just do like go here to one of our local establishments like the Lost Patty or something like that and do one of the watch parties with the groups that we have here. But it should be a good match. Like Atlanta's like, their defense is terrible. They're leaking goals. But they've got a good attack. Almada is incredible. The dude they signed from Celtic has kind of hit the ground running, very similar to what we've seen from Sam Surridge on our end. So, Richard, you'll remember early in the season, I was all about taking Nashville SC unders. Tomorrow might be an over game because I feel like if Zimmerman's out, Atlanta's defense is shoddy. I think this might be a shootout tomorrow if that's the way it's going to go because we got Hani, we got Sam. Leal's back from injury. He played the last 20, 30 minutes of the match against Miami. So we've got all our attacking options up and ready to go. Atlanta's been, dangerous on the attack. But if Zimmerman's out and Atlanta's defense is trash, this could be easily like a 3-2, 4-3 type of game. So it's going to be a wild one. It's hard to predict because, you can't really say what's the fatigue level going to be for Nashville having the extra matches that we played in Leagues Cup, whereas Atlanta's been out since did they even get into the knockout stages? I don't even remember, but it'll be an interesting one. It'll be a fun one. I think one way or the other, there's going to be a lot of goals. And if I say that means it's going to be 1-0, so take the under. But, yeah. Do it, man. You're going to get me on, man. You're making me think about it. I may look at some prices tomorrow. I may get up in the morning and feel a little frisky and look at some prices on what it might cost to do that. Oh, good question about the Spurs from Abaholic per league season. Thought Postiglio might be over his head and pick Spurs finish way down the table. Has your opinion changed at all after the last week? I don't know. I feel like, I think maybe one thing I didn't account for is like Spurs seem like they're playing like with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Like maybe like everybody doubted them with Harry Kane going out. Now they're a little bit more motivated. Maybe I didn't foresee that so much. Like they may be better than I thought they were, but I don't know. I feel like I still do feel like you can't possibly sell your best player without bringing in sufficient reinforcements and not see a little bit of a dip. I think that game probably told me more about Man United's weaknesses than it told me about Spurs' weaknesses because United's need for a striker is still there. Not sure that Rasmus Holland, who's came in busted and injured, is the answer. Mason Mount has looked like a disaster out of the gates, which I said all along. I didn't think that was necessarily a great signing to fix the midfield of Manchester United. So I think, I still have a lot of faith in Ten Hag. I still back him. I still support him. But I think the signings this summer are very questionable. The signings last summer were very questionable, but they kind of, for the most part, worked out. But right now, I think that game last week said more about United than it did about Spurs. But Spurs maybe won't be as bad as I thought they were going to be. I think they'll probably still be, maybe, I don't think they're going to crash down to like 10th or 12th like maybe I thought, but I still think like 6, 7. I don't know if they can like really crack into the top half of the, top 5, top 4 range. But yeah, man, now Richard, you got me thinking about going to Atlanta. Should be a fun match, whether I'm there or not, whether I'm watching it at home. It's going to be a fun match either way. Titans have a preseason game tonight against New England Patriots. I haven't really been able to watch much of the Titans preseason. It's been really weird. It's probably like the least I've watched of the Titans in any preseason ever. It's just been weird circumstances because the first game of the preseason, we were trying to go watch it somewhere at a bar, but apparently here in Nashville, DirecTV had dropped the ABC affiliate, and that's who carries the Titans preseason game. So when we tried to go watch it like a watch party, there was no watch party, so we didn't get to watch the first game. So I was trying to watch on my phone. So it was like, anytime you're trying to watch something on your phone, you miss pieces. You can't really see as good as you would. Second preseason game was last Saturday night during the League's Cup final, so I watched 0 of that game. And then tonight, the final preseason game. It's a home game. It's a game I would normally be going to, but I already had these concert tickets to go see Newfound Glory, All American Rejects, Starting Line, and Get Up Kids. So I'm going to go into the Titan season having not seen much of them. From what I've been hearing, what I've seen, from what little I've seen, it seems like Malik Willis is a little bit better, so he's pretty much locked in to be the number 2 at least to start the season. But I mean, it's hard to say because Will Levis has been hurt. He's not played except for the first preseason games. And that was what was going to be one of the most intriguing things about the preseason was Levis versus Willis. Who's going to be the number 2? Or either one of them going to be the quarterback of the future? And I don't think we really learned anything from this preseason because they've both been out. And the Titans are one of those teams at this point that basically don't play any starters in the preseason. How can you blame them? Treylon Burks, injured. Kyle Phillips, injured. Who else? 100 injuries every freaking year for the Titans. Like, we should just stop doing preseason for the Titans. Titans should just not practice. Just, like, watch film, conditioning, fitness, nothing else. Because year 3, we're already into the chaos of another year where we're going to have, like, 90-plus players on IR somehow. So, I don't know. I'm going to get my buddy Colin here to talk more Titans eventually as we get closer to the season, and we'll preview the full season. At that point in time, we'll just see what happens. But, yeah, that's just final thoughts on Titans there. Have you ever been to a USL match? Not the most beautiful soccer, but a nice, intimate atmosphere. Yes, actually. Before I had the vlog, Nashville SC, prior to entering MLS, started as a USL. Well, they didn't start as a USL team. They started very low of the table. Like, there's a whole history. Like, I wish I was in there from the ground up. Started as, like, NPSL, maybe fan-owned. Started from the ground up. John Ingram invested, started making moves to work out a situation where he could eventually get to be an MLS team. Entered USL as kind of a foot in the door. Very similar to FC Cincinnati. If you're familiar with FC Cincinnati's history. Similar path. We entered USL with the idea that we'd eventually move up to MLS. Played like 2 seasons USL. It was awesome. It was so incredible. We had our games at the Nashville Sounds minor league baseball stadium here in Nashville. It was where the Nashville SC early days were at that stadium. So cool because it was like everybody there was like diehard soccer fans. It was like all the fun of minor league baseball, all the fun of soccer rolled into one little ball. So it's not exactly the same kind of probably as what you're talking about with like USL teams that don't have like the, you know, MLS connection, because we always kind of knew from the day that we got USL that Nashville SC was eventually going to be an MLS team, so it was kind of being in USL to build to what we knew was coming with MLS. But like I always had fun watching the Nashville SC games when they'd be away for USL, because it was like going to like high school football stadiums and playing like, you know, semi-professional soccer games at high school football stadiums. Was always like a crazy atmosphere. Last year in the U.S. Open Cup, I went to Louisville City because Nashville SC played a U.S. Open Cup match at Louisville City. Loved that stadium. That was so incredible. I was like, this is the hope. This is the dream for growth of soccer in the nation, is that Louisville, small market city in Kentucky, great USL franchise, beautiful USL stadium, perfect USL stadium. It was awesome. My experience with USL has been nothing but great. I feel bad about some of the teams, like the whole thing that came out today with San Diego Loyal, where they're essentially folding because San Diego has established a new franchise that's going to be an MLS team, so it's kind of cannibalized the San Diego market for San Diego Loyal. So I'm sympathetic with USL because I would love to see us have a more fully established European style, you know, pyramid. We're never going to have Pro Rel. There's always going to be people who go like, oh, US is never going to be good until it has Pro Rel. We're never going to have Pro Rel. We're the franchise system here in America. We have billionaire owners that are never going to set up a situation where they allow their teams to make anything less than the most money possible. So there's never going to be Pro Rel in America. Let's just accept that right now. But if we can establish like a cool structure where USL is this great standalone thing that isn't cannibalized by MLS, MLS does its own thing. I think the other thing that's like hurting MLS or USL now is like the kind of evolution of what MLS is trying to do with MLS Next Pro, whereas like Huntsville City, our MLS Next Pro team for Nashville SC, in the past would have been a USL team, but now MLS is pulling all their reserve teams or whatever you want to call them out of USL and establishing MLS Next Pro. So I mean, I love USL. The time we watched matches when we were in there with Nashville SC, when we went up there for Louisville to see Louisville play. It's a great league. It's fun. It's great to see these guys who are just like fighting for their lives, competing. The atmosphere, to see fans who are like supporting those teams despite the fact that they're not like big, huge franchises is incredible. So I hope USL can continue to evolve and continue to survive. I know they talked about like doing an inter USL pro relegation system to like try to like up the interest level, up the like competitiveness of that league. But I think they recently they said they're putting that on hold to like firmly like flesh out how to exactly do it. I'm a supporter of USL. I'm a supporter of all soccer in America. I hope we can find ways to keep all these leagues healthy, keep all the growth, because the more opportunities there are for people to see soccer, the more opportunities there are for people to play soccer, the better it's going to be for our country. Do you travel to Titans away games? I saw a Raiders vs. Colts game in Vegas last year. I'm a Bills fan, but it was fun. So, I haven't much recently, and one of the reasons is that, traveling for soccer games is a little bit cheaper than traveling for NFL games. Like NFL tickets are like minimum $100 a game. I've looked at a few, but one of the problems for me is fall, spring are my two busiest times of the year. So like in terms of my real job, my work. So it's very hard for me to travel, and I usually have like planned travel stuff outside of going to like away Titans games. Like I usually go to Orlando every year in October for Halloween Horror Nights. Me and my wife go to the Caribbean, Bahamas, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, somewhere like that every November for our anniversary trip. So like I usually have like 2 big fall trips that are kind of booked in, and so it makes it hard to do like an additional away day for like a Titans game. I can say, unless something falls apart, unless something crazy happens, I am going to the Titans-Ravens game in London this year. Everything should be booked. Everything should be secured for that to happen. So unless there's some kind of major catastrophe for that, I will be going to that. But I have looked for the last couple of years. Every year the Titans schedule comes out, I look at it and I go, is there an away day I can make? Like this year, before we knew we were getting the London game, I saw the New Orleans game, week 1, the opener, and I was like, it'd be tough for me to go with my work schedule, but New Orleans would obviously be an incredible place to go. But the last couple of years before that, there weren't that many games that were like attractive, feasible for away days. Like if we ever get a bingo, next time we go to Cincinnati's come to us the most recently, but if we go to Cincinnati, I would do a Cincinnati away day because I've become pretty familiar with Cincinnati. I enjoy my time in Cincinnati, but the stars have not aligned for me to do a Titans road game the way I would have liked to in the recent years. But like I said, knock on wood, if everything keeps together, if everything goes well, I'm going to London to see the Titans play the Ravens. So it's not exactly a normal road game. It's technically a Titans home game, but it's definitely on the road. It's definitely away from home. So stay tuned for that one. So the last thing I want to talk about is this weekend. If you followed, I'm a big professional wrestling fan. We've got one of the biggest professional wrestling shows of all time coming up this weekend. AEW. 80,000 people are going to be in Wembley Stadium in London, where I might be in a few months. Not Wembley. It's at Tottenham Spurs Stadium for the Titans. Tottenham Spurs. I said it the weirdest way possible. It's at Tottenham Stadium for the Titans game, but this wrestling event at Wembley, first time since 1992 SummerSlam, a major wrestling event at Wembley Stadium. I'm going to go through this really quickly. Just going to run down the card, give my thoughts, who's going to win. I do think the card's a little disappointing. I was hoping for like some just all-time incredible matches on this card, and there's going to be some good ones on here, but somewhat a little lackluster. But they also have All Out next week, so like Tony Khan, owner, booker of AEW, obviously had to stagger a little bit of stuff. Bryan Danielson's hurt. That's hurt some things. Pac's hurt. There's been some other injuries that have hurt some things in that regard. So let's just run out the card. So on the pre-show, we've got, this is the weirdest one for me. Aussie Open is defending the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions against MJF and Adam Cole. If you're not familiar with what's been going on in AEW, MJF and Adam Cole have been doing this like enemies who become best friends type of angle. They almost won the AEW Tag Team titles. In the main event of this show, they're going to go head-to-head for the AEW World Championship. So it's kind of crazy to put them in a tag team match on the pre-show, because if something goes wrong, if something gets hurt, you're screwing up your main event for some like throwaway pre-show match. That one's weird. I don't know what's going to happen there. I could see MJF and Adam Cole winning to like further establish, oh, they're friends, for when one of them turns on the other in the main event to further like, make that more shocking. So I would pick MJF, Adam Cole to win that one. Other one, single match for the FTW Championship. Jack Perry versus Hook. We mentioned Jungle Boy earlier, obviously. I think Jack Perry's kind of on a hot streak since he's turned heel. I would probably keep the belt on him here, but I'm sure they can figure out some kind of weird way to screw that one up and jack that one up and change that up. So we'll see there. Richard said they have soccer games in London too. Yeah, interestingly enough, I looked at this because I was like, I would love to go to a soccer game when I'm in London later this year. That is actually going to be on a FIFA international break window. So I was like, dang, there'd be a million Premier League games to choose from normally, but it's a FIFA window. But England, the national team, and this makes sense why Titans are playing at Tottenham Stadium, not Wembley. England plays Australia on, I think it's the Friday before the Sunday the Titans play in London. So I've been looking at the tickets to that. Now, my family, I'm going with family that's never been to England. I've been to England before. My family that I'm going with has never been before, so they're like, we don't want to go to a soccer game. We want to see all the sights. But I'm kind of like looking at that because it's England versus Australia in an international friendly, and I'm like, might be pretty cool for me to go to an international friendly to see England play Australia at Wembley. I don't know. That's a lot of stuff to be determined on that one, though. So Jack Perry versus Hook, like I said, I think Jack Perry probably retains there. I'm sure there'll be shenanigans. FTR versus the Young Bucks Tag Team Championship match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. This is arguably potentially going to be the best match on the card. These guys are incredible. They've had nothing but great matches together. It's the end of the trilogy. Each team is 1-1 match. I think FTR wins here because Young Bucks seem to be at the point where they're putting people over more than putting themselves over, and FTR is, kind of wanting to establish themselves as the best team. The one kind of complication here is obviously Cash Wheeler recently had an arrest for a road rage incident involving a gun. So if Tony Khan feels like there might be further issues related to that, then he needs to get the belts off of FTR. Maybe that happens, but all things equal, I would pick FTR to win that match. Four-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida, the champion, defends against Toni Storm, Saraya, Britt Baker, DMD. So, I don't know how Saraya doesn't win this match because it's in England. You brought her in from WWE. If you're ever going to put the belt on her, if you're ever going to strap it to her and give her a chance, it's got to be here. It makes perfect sense because Hikaru Shida just beat Toni Storm to win the belt a few months ago. So it makes a lot more sense to put the belt on her so that Saraya is beating Shida versus beating Toni Storm, who Saraya is aligned with. I'm going with Saraya on that one. Darby Allin, Sting, Swerve Strickland, and Christian Cage versus... Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Coffin match. Darby Allin and Sting win this one. You're going to give Sting the big pop in Wembley. Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page versus Konshi, Takashita, Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. I think Takashita and the Bullet Club Gold win this one because I think they're going to go to Takashita versus Kenny Omega in a one-on-one match at All Out the following week. So the best way to set that up is for Takashita to win. Stadium Stampede match, Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and Penta El Cerro Medeo versus Blackpool Combat Club and Santana and Ortiz. Stadium Stampede. No telling who's going to win this one. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. It's probably the match I'm most looking forward to because Stadium Stampede in Wembley, depending on what they're able to do, how crazy they're able to go, to be able to do a Stadium Stampede in a stadium like Wembley could be insane. Okay, so that was what I'm most looking forward to. Changed my mind. One I'm most looking forward to, Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. This is going to be insane. Will Ospreay, to me, is the best wrestler in the world right now. He's always going to turn out. He's always going to go nuts. He's always going to do his best in every match. And Chris Jericho, even though he's older at this point in time, whenever he's in this type of match, whenever he's in one of these matches, he pulls out all the strings. Whatever he's got left in the tank, he pulls it out and he goes for it. So this match is going to be awesome. Ospreay's got to win. Punk versus Samoa Joe. Punk probably wins because I think they're probably going to go with Punk versus whoever wins the main event tonight at All Out. House of Black, blah, 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 blah. Six-man trios match versus The Acclaimed with Badass Billy Gunn. House of Black's been on fire. I wouldn't necessarily want to take the belt off them right now, the trios belt's off them right now, but you've kind of built up this whole thing of Billy Gunn coming back, so it wouldn't make much sense for him to make the big comeback and then lose. So maybe The Acclaimed win because The Acclaimed are one of the hottest acts too. I don't know. The Acclaimed. I'll say the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn win. Last match, main event, MJF, champion versus Adam Cole. I'm torn on this one because I think the most logical thing from the way they've set everything up leads you to believe Adam Cole is the one who's going to turn heel. So he would turn heel, beat MJF, steal the title, with Roderick Strong, the Kingdom aligned with him. But if you're going right back to another title match at All Out, a week later in Chicago, MJF versus CM Punk makes a lot more sense than CM Punk versus Adam Cole. But maybe they're not going there yet. Maybe they're going to string out this CM Punk holding the real world title for longer. I think Adam Cole wins. I think there's a big swerve coming with Adam Cole winning the belt and stealing it from MJF. And then maybe they go back and do a rematch All Out and the CM Punk match comes later. I don't know. I think Adam Cole steals the belt there, so yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for this one. Let's catch up on some chat stuff real quick before we wrap up. AEW doing well these days. Still remember the old Monday Night Wrestling War. It would suck if they folded like WCW. I don't think they're going to fold. They seem to have really good support from Warner Brothers Discovery, their TV partners, and that's like the biggest thing in wrestling right now is much like live sports. Is if you've got backers that are going to pay you money for your TV, you're good to go. And I mean, Tony Khan, the Khan family, they're billionaires. They've got all the money in the world that, as long as they want to be doing it, they can be doing it, I think, for the most part. They're not doing as good as they were 2 years ago, but it's not like they've fallen off a cliff. It's not like the WCW days in like 99, 2000 where WCW completely imploded. They've had a dip, but, it's not been like the wheels are falling off type of dip. Their pay-per-views have maintained consistency. Their big shows have sold tickets well. Their ticket sales for like kind of in between shows haven't been so well. They were here in Nashville a couple weeks ago. Probably not the best gate in the world, but their big shows do well. Their TV ratings are what they need to be, but they're not anywhere close to WWE. Like when they first came in, they kind of like were nipping at WWE's heels, but they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit. But they're not like falling off the cliff, disaster type stuff. Go see if my Leyton Orient are playing League One. EFL lower leagues still play during FIFA breaks. That is a good point. I did not think about that. Much like MLS, EFL, League One, League Two championship does not take the same breaks that Premier League takes. I will look into that because that, honestly, going to like a small, everybody's going to talk about Wrexham, obviously, but going to like a small, like hole in the wall stadium match would probably be a lot more fun than going to like a Premier League match or like a big time match because those are sort of like slowly becoming more and more like our NFL, American franchise matches. So going to like a little like, Leighton, Wrexham, Blackpool, one of those smaller club type matches might be a lot of fun, but I don't know. Hopefully something like that is coming up because we're going to go there. It's all booked. It's all set. It's all ready to go. So unless there is a major catastrophe, which you never know. Things happen. We'll be going to London. But we're going to be doing a lot of things on the channel here. So make sure, if you are not already, subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on for notifications for all the updates, live streams, organic, salad power, veggie, smoothie reviews. I'm going to a concert tonight. There's going to be a vlog from that. All kinds of content, always coming all the time. Subscribe to the channel with the bell turns on for notifications. One last chat. I went to AFC Wimbledon versus Watford Preston Friendly. I was in England a few years ago. It was fun. This is a great idea. I had not even considered going to the lower league matches, but now, light bulb moment. Thank you guys in the chat for shouting that out to me. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.